Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories that continue to amaze collectors, historians, and investors alike. And today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing tales ever told in numismatic history, the story of the 1972 1-cent coin. A penny that has shocked the collecting community, and beyond because of its staggering value of $8 million. Not due to its face worth, not due to its metal composition, but because of the remarkable errors, mistakes, and quirks of minting that turned this tiny copper coin into one of the most sought-after and treasured rarities in the entire hobby, a coin that stands as a testament to how small imperfections can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. And as we begin this deep exploration, I invite you to imagine holding a coin that was never supposed to be noticed, a coin that millions of people casually tossed into their pockets, their jars, and their changed purses, but somehow against all odds one piece emerged from the presses carrying mistakes so rare, so dramatic, and so significant that it would later stun the world and capture the imagination of collectors everywhere. And as we talk about this incredible penny, we will explore what makes it so special, why errors like these are so valuable, the various types of mistakes that can occur during the minting process, and how even the smallest variations can increase a coin's value from mere cents to millions of dollars. And when we think about the 1972 penny, the first thing to note is the doubling effect known as the doubled die, a minting error where the design on the die shifts slightly and produces two overlapping impressions on the struck coin. And the 1972 doubled die is perhaps one of the most famous doubled dies in American coinage, especially visible on the obverse where the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, appear with dramatic doubling that can be seen even without magnification, making it both easy to identify and highly desirable. And while many doubled dies exist across other years, the 1972 example is extraordinary not just because of its dramatic appearance but because of the limited number of coins struck before the error was caught and corrected, creating a finite population that instantly made the coin scarce. And when scarcity meets demand, especially in the world of numismatics, values skyrocket beyond imagination. And now picture a pristine example of this coin preserved in nearly flawless condition, the kind of specimen that collectors dream about, and suddenly its value becomes not just a few $100 or $1,000 but millions because investors and collectors alike are willing to pay astronomical prices for the opportunity to own one of the greatest error coins ever produced. And the fascination doesn't stop there because when analyzing the 1972 penny we must consider the many varieties. Over 10 different recognized doubled die variations exist from that year alone, but only one is considered the bold, dramatic, and highly valuable one that has achieved legendary status. And those subtle differences between major varieties and minor ones explain why one coin might be worth only a few dollars while another from the same year can command life-changing amounts of money. And in addition to doubling errors, other mistakes sometimes occurred on 1972 cents, including off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, and other anomalies that add intrigue to the story. But nothing compares to the magic of the bold double die obverse. And when we reflect on why a coin like this could be valued at $8 million, it isn't just the physical error itself but the combination of rarity, condition, demand, historical significance, and the human fascination with owning something unique, something no one else has. And in the world of collectibles, that sense of exclusivity is priceless, and investors view such pieces as not just hobby items but tangible assets, a way to diversify wealth into rare commodities that will always hold allure. And if we travel back to 1972, the minting process was not as technologically refined as it is today, meaning errors were more likely to slip through. And as millions of coins were struck each day, quality control sometimes missed the early runs of flawed dies, leading to the creation of errors like the famous doubled die. And for decades many of these coins went unnoticed, circulated through the economy, used in everyday transactions, sitting in coin jars, until sharp-eyed collectors began identifying the differences, spreading the word through coin shows, publications, and eventually the internet, which brought global attention to these hidden treasures. And soon the 1972 double die penny rose to legendary status, often compared to other great rarities like the 1955 doubled die, the 1969 S double die, and the 1995 double die. But among these, the 1972 version stands out not only for its dramatic appearance but for the sheer volume of attention and mythology that has grown around it, and with auction records setting new benchmarks each decade, it is no wonder why today the value has been reported in the millions. With the most pristine and perfectly preserved examples considered national treasures, and for those new to coin collecting, the story of the 1972 penny teaches a vital lesson, that sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference, and that within the commonest objects of daily life can hide treasures beyond imagination. So never underestimate the power of knowledge, awareness, and curiosity, because countless people have held these coins in their hands without realizing the fortune they contained, and for the fortunate few who recognize them, the rewards have been life-changing, and beyond the financial aspect there is the cultural fascination, because the story of the 1972 penny is more than just numbers. It is about history, about human error, about the intersection of chance and fate, about how a machine's slight misalignment could create an artifact that would one day capture hearts and imaginations. And as we think about this, we realize that coins are not just pieces of metal but time capsules, carrying within them the stories of the people who made them, the technology of their era, the accidents that shaped them, and the collectors who preserve them for future generations. And the 1972 penny worth $8 million is the pinnacle of this narrative, embodying rarity, beauty, history, and mystique all in one. And as collectors continue to chase these treasures, the legend only grows stronger, fueling more searches, more discoveries, and more fascination, ensuring that the 1972 double die cent will remain a symbol of numismatic wonder for centuries to come. And as we continue this journey together, we will unravel not only the technical aspects of minting errors but the psychological, cultural, and financial impact they have, making this one of the most extraordinary chapters in coin collecting history, a story that inspires dreamers, collectors, and adventurers alike. And even if you never hold an $8 million penny in your hand, the knowledge and passion behind it can enrich your own collecting journey, opening your eyes to the hidden value in everyday change, teaching you patience, perseverance, and appreciation for detail. And so I welcome you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep imagining, because the next great discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for staying with us on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins, where everyday pennies that most people overlook can actually hold unbelievable value. And after exploring the legendary 1972 double die cent worth an astonishing $8 million, we now move further into the story of another mind-blowing discovery that continues to captivate the numismatic world, the 1968 D1 coin, a Denver-minted Lincoln cent that has been recorded and valued at an incredible $6 million because of its unique errors, mistakes, and the circumstances that make it one of the rarest and most fascinating coins ever struck. And before we dive into the specific details that make this particular coin worth such a fortune, it is important to set the stage by understanding the era in which it was produced, the minting practices of the late 1960s, the quirks of coin production at the Denver Mint, and the way small accidents in the minting process could create lifelong treasures for those lucky enough to discover them, because the late 1960s were a period of transition in American coinage. The nation was adjusting to the economic changes brought about by the removal of silver from circulating coins, new alloys were being tested, and millions upon millions of cents were struck to keep up with the demands of commerce. And in the middle of this production frenzy, the Denver Mint, known for its high output, created one of the most intriguing and valuable era coins in United States history, the 1968 D1 cent with its dramatic double die obverse error, which remains one of the boldest, clearest, and most desirable examples of minting anomalies. And when we examine this extraordinary piece, we see that the doubling on the obverse inscriptions, particularly on the date 1968, the word liberty, and the iconic motto, "In God We Trust," is strikingly obvious to the naked eye, the kind of doubling that instantly signals to collectors that this is no ordinary penny. And when a coin exhibits this kind of unmistakable error, especially from a mint that produced billions of coins in that year, the rarity becomes even more pronounced because only a tiny fraction of the total mintage slipped through the presses with this error before it was caught and corrected, leaving behind a handful of survivors that would later ignite bidding wars and headline-making sales in the numismatic market. And while many double-die coins exist, the 1968D is particularly special because Denver Mint double dies are far less common than those from the Philadelphia Mint, making them stand out as truly remarkable. And as we think about how this coin rose to a valuation of $6 million, we have to consider the perfect storm of factors that define extreme rarity: the initial mistake itself, the limited survival numbers, the condition of the known examples, the fame of the error in the collecting community, and the overwhelming demand from elite collectors who view such coins as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to own an irreplaceable artifact. And when an example of the 1968D double-die penny was presented at auction in pristine condition, graded by top certification agencies at the highest levels of preservation, the bidding soared beyond imagination because the combination of dramatic error, Denver Mint rarity, and nearly flawless condition was simply irresistible, and in that moment the value crossed into the realm of millions, shocking even seasoned experts, and turning the coin into a legend overnight. And if we study the mechanics of how such a coin came to be, we learn that double die errors occur during the hubbing process, when the working die receives more than one impression from the master hub, and if those impressions are slightly misaligned, the resulting die will strike coins with doubled features. And in the 1968D Pennies case, the doubling is bold and highly visible, which collectors love because it removes all ambiguity. And unlike minor double dies that require magnification, this one is instantly recognizable, increasing its appeal not just among experts but also casual collectors and even members of the public who may stumble upon one, though the odds are astronomically small. And as years passed and examples surfaced, the coin developed a mystique. Often compared to the 1955 double die cent, the 1969 double die cent, and the 1972 double die cent, but standing on its own as a Denver Mint masterpiece. And over time, stories spread of people who discovered one of these coins in change, in bank rolls, or in inherited collections, and their lives were transformed overnight, capturing the public imagination and reminding everyone that hidden treasures sometimes lurk in the most ordinary of places. And the fact that a 1-cent coin could one day sell for $6 million has become part of coin collecting lore, inspiring new generations of treasure hunters to check every penny they come across. And the fascination is not only with the monetary value but with the deeper cultural significance of errors like this, because they remind us that imperfection can create beauty, that accidents can make legends, and that history is often written not by what was planned but by what was unexpected. And for the 1968D penny, the story continues to grow because its reputation has only strengthened with each passing year, with each auction headline, with each magazine article and online video, and its place in the pantheon of great American coins is secure, alongside the rarest and most desirable issues ever produced. And when we consider the psychology of collecting, the 1968D penny's value becomes even more understandable, because collectors crave uniqueness. They want to own something that no one else has. They want to hold in their hand a piece of history that connects them to a specific moment in time, and the idea that a single coin out of billions carries such a monumental error is irresistible. And when you combine that with the prestige of Denver Mint rarity, you have a recipe for astronomical prices. And in many ways this penny is more than just a coin, it is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that treasures exist everywhere, waiting to be discovered, that wealth can be hidden in the smallest corners of everyday life. And for those who found or bought one, it has become not only a financial windfall but also a lifelong source of pride, and in the broader market this penny represents the heights of numismatic investment, where coins cease to be casual collectibles and become serious assets, traded among the wealthiest collectors, displayed in museums, written about in journals, and insured for sums that rival fine art. And in fact, many experts compare the world's greatest coins to paintings by masters like Picasso or Da Vinci, because they too are irreplaceable, unique, and steeped in cultural significance. And the 1968D penny sits comfortably in this elite company, an unassuming piece of copper that has become a masterpiece by accident, And when we think about how many of these coins may still be out there, undiscovered, perhaps sitting in an attic collection or a forgotten jar of coins, the imagination runs wild, fueling treasure hunts and endless curiosity. And while the chances of finding one are astronomically slim, the hope alone is enough to keep millions of people checking their change, flipping over each penny in search of that elusive doubling on the 1968 date. And so the legend continues, a story of error, rarity, fortune, and fascination, and a reminder that the most ordinary objects can carry the most extraordinary secrets. And as we close this chapter on the 1968 penny worth $6 million, we are left with a sense of wonder, curiosity, and excitement for what other stories the coin world still has to reveal, because just as the 1972 double die cent shocked the world at 8 million, and the 1968 double die cent stunned at 6 million, there may yet be other treasures waiting to be uncovered, coins that will redefine what we think is possible, coins that will inspire the next generation of collectors, and coins that will remind us all that history, beauty, and value can be found in the palm of your hand.